Picture this for a second. You've got two people starting the exact same race of life, right from the exact same starting line. One of them chooses the path of discipline, while the other leans into the path of comfort. Now fast forward a few years. One is literally living out their absolute dreams, and the other? Well, they're living with a whole lot of regret. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are unpacking the master key to success, completely based on the legendary teachings of Napoleon Hill. His whole philosophy makes one thing crystal clear. Without self-discipline, all the talent and intelligence in the world are kinda useless. Now, I know we usually picture discipline as waking up at 5 a.m., taking those freezing cold showers, and sweating for hours in the gym. But true discipline? It runs so much deeper than just winning a wrestling match with your morning alarm.
So it really begs this absolutely critical question. Are you conquering yourself or are you being conquered? Let's just shatter the illusion right now. Think about a really simple craving. You know excess sugar is bad for you, right? Doctors are constantly warning us about how it causes diabetes and heart issues. But after dinner, you just can't resist that one bite of ice cream. That tiny, momentary 2-second rush of sweetness is literally putting your long-term health at risk. Or imagine you have this golden career opportunity in front of you. You just need to stay up a bit late to finish a project. But man, a new episode on Netflix looks so good. You tell yourself, I'll do it tomorrow. Look, if we can't resist these little temptations, we aren't conquering ourselves. We're being conquered by our own internal weaknesses.
And that perfectly illustrates the core message from Napoleon Hill's legendary book, Think and Grow Rich. He says, if you do not conquer self, you will be conquered by self. The ultimate, toughest battle you will ever face in your life isn't against the outside world. It's not your competitors or the economy or your circumstances. It's entirely an inside job. It's this invisible force that shapes every single small choice you make, and ultimately, it dictates the entire quality of your life.
Now, the definition of self-discipline is remarkably simple. It is just doing what you know you should do, even when you really don't feel like doing it. Like when your brain is screaming at you to sleep, but you know you need to study. Or when you desperately want a pizza, but you consciously choose a salad. Think of it exactly like a muscle. The very first time you try to do a push-up, it hurts. It's super hard, and you probably want to quit. But with daily repetition, that muscle gets stronger. Well, your willpower works the exact same way. When you resist the temptation, you aren't just winning a fleeting moment. You are fundamentally rewiring your identity. Okay, let's dive into this step-by-step roadmap. To achieve total self-mastery, we're going to cover 3 main pillars today. Step 1 is mastering your emotions. Step 2 is building daily habits, and Step 3 is respecting your time.
So Step 1, master your emotions. This is definitely the hardest battle.
Because like we said, true discipline isn't just about waking up early. It is fundamentally about controlling that internal trio of anger, fear, and jealousy. The absolute key here is understanding the massive difference between a reaction and a response. Picture a businessman presenting a huge project, and a client just harshly criticizes it in front of the whole room. Let's look at a reaction. A reaction is impulsive. It's totally driven by the amygdala. That's the emotional center of your brain that dumps stress hormones like cortisol into your system. If he reacts with ego and anger, he argues and he loses the deal. Done. Now, instead, consider a response. A response is driven by the logical prefrontal cortex. It requires a conscious pause. If our businessman is disciplined, he stays calm, he listens patiently, uses that brutal feedback to actually improve, and ultimately wins the client's trust. A reaction brings regret, but a disciplined response, that brings long-term growth.
So how do we actually get there? Well, our sources give us 3 incredible, practical techniques for emotional control. First up, practice just 5 minutes of deep breathing daily. This actually regulates your stress hormones and kicks your parasympathetic nervous system into gear, which naturally increases calmness. Second, take a conscious pause before you speak. Seriously, just 1 single second of conscious pausing can change the entire direction of your life. And third, journal your emotional triggers. By physically writing down what makes you angry or scared, you step back and observe your emotions instead of being a puppet to them. Observation is literally the very first step toward mastery.
Now keep in mind, emotional discipline absolutely does not mean suppressing your feelings. We're human. Anger, fear, jealousy, they're totally natural. But a disciplined person, they channel that energy. If you're prepping for a big exam and you're terrified of failing, turn that fear into hardcore preparation. If someone treats you poorly, take that anger and forge it into sheer determination. And hey, if you see a competitor succeeding and you feel that slow, toxic burn of jealousy, flip the script. Reframe it. Turn that jealousy into inspiration. Tell yourself, look, if they can do it, there's no way I can't do it too.
Moving right along to step 2, build daily habits. This is all about the compound effect.
You see, we don't become what we do every once in a while. We become what we do every single day. Just think about the number 37 for a second. This number represents the mind-blowing mathematical power of small habits. If you make just a tiny improvement and get a fraction better every single day, by the end of 1 year, you will be 37 times better. Seriously, 37 times. This is the compound effect in action. But catch this. It's only possible if you actually have the discipline to repeat these small habits consistently. You have to push past that super uncomfortable starting phase until they literally become automatic neural pathways in your brain.
So what daily habits should we actually be building? Well, here are a few highly practical ones to get that discipline muscle working. Instead of waking up and immediately reaching for your phone to scroll, which, by the way, instantly floods your brain with comparison and digital distraction, substitute that with a 20-minute walk. Get your body active and your mind completely fresh. Then, at night, instead of that endless late-night doom scrolling, just read 5 pages of a motivational book. It programs your subconscious for success while you sleep. The secret sauce here: start small. Do not try to make these massive, drastic changes that your brain is just going to rebel against. Build the discipline muscle slowly and steadily.
This is a fantastic quote that says, "You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems." Think about it. Everyone has goals, right? But the winners are the ones with systems driven by disciplined habits. Look at Warren Buffett. The guy reads 5 to 6 hours every single day. Or take Indian cricketer Virat Kohli. He totally overhauled a pretty average lifestyle, gave up the junk food, and locked into a strict routine to become literally one of the fittest athletes on the planet. Raw motivation and talent are great, for sure, but habit-driven discipline, that is infinitely more powerful.
And that brings us to step 3, respect your time. This is the ultimate equalizer.
Time is the one thing we all share equally. Whether you are a struggling college student or a billionaire like Elon Musk, you got the exact same 24 hours in a day. And the math behind how we spend our daily time is honestly pretty shocking. 730. If you waste just 2 hours a day mindlessly scrolling on social media, over a single year, that adds up to 730 hours. Guys, that is more than 30 entire days. 30 full days you could have used to, learn a new language, read 20 books, or totally transform your physical fitness. People love to say they just don't have the time, but the harsh reality? They have the time. They just lack the discipline.
So how do we snatch our time back? Here are 3 incredibly concrete tactics. Number 1, eat that frog. Basically, tackle your absolute hardest, most important task first thing in the morning when your focus and your willpower are fully charged. Number 2, check your phone only 3 times a day at fixed intervals. That totally eliminates the constant ping of notification distractions. And number 3, write a daily prioritized to-do list. Studies highlighted in our source actually show that simply writing down and mapping out your tasks can boost your productivity by up to 25% just by writing it down.
And you've got to remember this vital rule. Learn to say no. Respecting your time means you absolutely have to say no to all those extra demands that derail your main priorities. Steve Jobs was a brilliant example of this. You know how he wore a black turtleneck every single day? He did that because he refused to waste his time and his decision-making energy on something as trivial as picking out a shirt. He saved all his mental focus for decisions that could actually change the world. Eliminate the trivial stuff and aggressively protect your priorities.
Which leads to our final thought. Discipline is true freedom. It's the ultimate reframe.
A lot of people hear the word discipline and they immediately think of a jail cell, right? They think of restrictions and losing their freedom. But honestly, that couldn't be further from the truth. Discipline is true freedom. Let's look at the stark trade-off between these two paths. If you choose the discipline path, the short term is going to be pretty uncomfortable. Going for a walk when you're exhausted, reading instead of binge-watching TV, taking a pause when you really just want to yell at someone. But the long-term result? Absolute total freedom. Financial stability, robust health, and real peace of mind. Now look at the easy path. The short term feels amazing. It's pure pleasure. Junk food, reacting on impulse, scrolling endlessly. But the long-term result is severe restriction, addiction, chronic stress, limited career options, and just deep regret. Momentary comfort breeds future regret, while temporary pain buys you a lifetime of options.
Napoleon Hill summarized this reality absolutely flawlessly. Success requires no explanations, failure permits no alibis. When you finally master your habits, your emotions, and your time, you stop being a puppet to luck or your circumstances. You become the sole director of your own destiny.
So, the most crucial point here is action. Please don't let this just be another explainer you passively consume and forget about by tomorrow. Here is my challenge to you. Pick just one of these things right now. Write a to-do list for tomorrow. Commit to a 20-minute walk today, or pledge to read just 5 pages of a book tonight. Start building that discipline muscle right this very second.
I'm going to leave you with this final, vital question to chew on. Will you be the director of your life or a slave to your weaknesses? The real battlefield isn't out there in the world, it's right inside you. Choose discipline, embrace the discomfort, and go unlock that extraordinary freedom that is waiting for you. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.